still go, 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 go.
Knudsen,
What's going on, Tursky?
this is Two Guys Talking Golf.
Hey, welcome back to the United States, sir.
It's good to be back. All I've done since I've been back is sleep.
I know, and I got the text from you this morning, which I know this is different for everybody, that the show's coming out on Monday, but Tursky was a little jet lagged, but when I got the text this morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, which is like 4 a.m. your time, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I've been sleeping for about 54 to 72 hours. I figured when I woke up from all that my luggage would be here. It is not. It's still in the abyss. I think it's stuck in Dublin, but on the way back I was smart. Like, I brought all my podcast camera equipment with me on the plane. I bought a little duffel bag, and everything checked is just clothes, so no worries. I don't think I'm ever going to see that bag again. There's thousands. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You're flying through Europe. If you have any sort of layover, I would suggest either not checking a bag or figuring something else out. Because I ain't the only one. But
No.
here we are. We're back. We're back in the States, and the Open Championship, the 150th Open Championship at the Old Course, St. Andrews, home of golf, is unfortunately over. Something I think we've all been looking forward to for like years, basically, whenever St. Andrews hits the rota, everyone gets all fired up. And this year was especially historical and nostalgic. It may have been Tiger Woods' last at St. Andrews, so a little bit of a special year. It's over.
Yeah. It was an awesome tournament. I mean, realistically, the golf that was played was, the weather wasn't crazy bad, so we saw some really low scores. We saw some amazing shots, and it was just exciting to watch. So I didn't watch start to finish every day, but I watched a ton on Thursday, ton on Friday. I watched a little bit on Saturday of the replay, and then I watched a good amount of kind of the final nine on Sunday. And it was great to watch.
I thought the weather was absolutely perfect for really what you want at St. Andrews. Like, it was super baked out. It was very fast. It allowed like shot making to rise to the top.
Yep.
And we saw that from Cam Smith, from Cameron Young, from Rory McIlroy. Like, I'm shocked that Rory didn't win that event. Going into Sunday, obviously paired with Hovland, who's a great player but not as experienced, and you kind of just figured the whole time that Rory was going to get it done. And Here comes Cam Smith. He just nails with the putter. Absolute nails, and Rory made nothing. I think he shot 2 under, and he had 36 putts. He 2-putted every single hole. And that's just not really going to get it done. Like, he didn't make mistakes. He kind of treated it like Tiger would on a Sunday. Conservative, hit all the shots he needed to, but ultimately he didn't really make the putts that he needed to. Cam Smith went home the champion, and he did find out how many beers fit in the claret jug, which is officially 2. 2 full beers. And I think he said on, what was it, Monday, he was like, I had about 20 claret jugs. So 40 beers for Cam Smith. He put out a couple of videos on his social media, and it looked like he had about 20 claret jugs the night before. Good on him. I mean, he deserved that one. Nothing really else you could say. He made a couple like course management hiccups on Saturday that I saw. Like, he was trying to hit that baseball shot with the ball way above his feet in the fairway bunker, and up in the gorse bush, made double. At that point, I was like, well, Cam Smith might have just cost himself the event, because Rory at that point, I think he had like 5-stroke lead. It's like, you can't give Rory a 5-stroke lead when he's hitting the ball this well. But if your putter shows up on Sunday like Cam's did, I guess you can afford to make some course management hiccups.
Yeah, I mean, he. I think at one point they showed the stat that Cam had made like 87 feet of putts, and Rory had made like 24 or something like that. I think the same point by like hole 15 or something like that. I mean, it was a huge difference. And you're right. I mean, Rory didn't play bad golf, and realistically, he didn't putt horrible. He didn't have a bunch of 3 putts or anything like that. He just didn't Cam was making every single putt, and he just kind of plodded along and played, for him, kind of average or, maybe slightly better than average. But it was just, and then also Cameron Young at the end, made eagle on 18 to make it kind of go, ooh, like that putt from Cam Smith all of a sudden becomes worth something, when it wasn't before, in a sense. And he all of a sudden, you thought he was way out of it, and all of a sudden he pops into second, out of the blue, I think. But it was just, it was phenomenal golf by really, all three players, and just, it all came down to one guy was just a little hotter than the other two.
I thought for sure it was shaping up to be a three-way playoff there. When Cam Young drained that eagle, I was like, here we go.
Oh,
Rory and two Cams going to a playoff, and it kind of felt like that's how it should have been. Like those three were just battling it down the stretch. If it ended that way, I think the fans would have been happy about that, but Cam Smith put an end to that.
Yep.
So good on Cam. And he was not happy about the live questions immediately after winning.
Oh.
But his answers were pretty sketch, so it kind of seemed like he's going. Which is wild.
I can see it. Like, if you're a guy who's, if you're a player out there, and granted, like you said, I don't think he's 100% in the clear that he's just absolutely staying with the PGA Tour. But, I think as a player, if you've made up your mind and you're staying on the PGA Tour or whatever, like, it is getting old. Like, I think every press conference you're probably dreading going into it. Just like, all right, well, it's going to be 15 minutes of just getting blasted about live questions. And, and for some players like the Rorys and the, it seems like the Spieths and the JTs, but they're not going. Like, they've kind of made up their mind. They're standing ground as of now. And it has to be annoying, It's got to be like Rory when he walks into the Masters press room and he knows he's going to get grilled about, why he hasn't won the Masters yet. It's, the one he's still waiting on. And, those type of things, I think, those guys kind of keeps them up at night, dreading the fact that they've got to, come up with answers and keep talking about this stuff. But it's still there. And there's some rumors even floating around this morning about somebody going over there potentially and shaking things up in the Ryder Cup. So, we'll see.
Who are you talking about, Stenson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So
that rumor's been flying for forever. I thought since Ryder Cup captaincy was going to get stripped from him that he wouldn't go, but the rumors just keep pressing on. So until we hear from him, we're not quite sure. I'm reading on Twitter basically like everyone else that a bunch of top 50 guys are going. But it was nice for that 4 days at the Home of Golf, us kind of just focusing on the Open Championship. In terms of gear, Cam Smith's bag setup is pretty much like the prototypical Open Championship, like what everyone was changing to. He had two driving irons in the bag, which for all the guys who were using like 7-woods and 5-woods typically in America throughout the past year and a half, they were all switching to driving irons, and any sort of high bounce guys, they were switching to low bounce wedges. And Cam Smith has a T-grind, the Vokey T-grind, for those of you that don't know. A lot of tour players who want that low bounce custom type setup with like a lot of heel relief, so when you open the face it sits flush against the ground. They go to that T-grind, which is not like a stock option in the Vokey set, but if you go through Wedgeworks, you can get yourself a T-grind. Cam Smith has it in the bag. A lot of guys. Spieth. I believe Will Zalatoris. Cam Young, I think, also had a T-grind, but basically just super low bounce. And given like the ultra firm conditions out at St. Andrews, they were all looking for something super low bounce. Like JT, he plays that K grind that's 6 degrees of bounce typically, which is really low for a K, given how wide the sole is. He took 3 degrees of bounce off that. So he was playing a K grind with 3 degrees of bounce. Even Rory, who basically always plays with a high bounce lob wedge, something around 12, 13 degrees of bounce, he went all the way down to 7. And in one of his press conferences, I think it was Tuesday, heading into the event, he was like, yeah, I'm playing a low bounce wedge, which I never really do. And he's like, I could probably afford to take even more bounce off it. And just me and Greg walking around that place, it's a parking lot. Like, There was no grass. It wasn't soft. It was just you could kind of skate out there. Really, really, really firm. And if you have any sort of bounce on that wedge, it's just going to hit the turf, bounce right up, and you're going to blade it into the stands out of bounds. Probably break a window at the jigger end, or a little souvenir for the fans. But you're not going to like the performance of it. So,
yeah,
they were all switching low bounce wedges, and Cam Smith, he had the T grind in there, 2 driving irons. So it makes sense.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, it was one of those where, the course is like St. Andrews when there's no wind, there's no weather, there's no nasty, rain, all that stuff. When it kind of comes out, those courses are really vulnerable to some really low scores because they are so wide. There's not a ton of trouble. The rough is not really that. It's not like a U.S. Open. It's kind of wispier grass and things like that. And but the one defense it has is massive greens. And if they firm it out and make it super hard and crispy, there are some shots that are just so hard to hit. And like you said, I mean, if you had a D grind and had to hit any type of shot, around there, like, the D grind being the highest bounce of Okie, but if you had a super high bounce wedge going in there, I mean, unless your technique is absolutely just spot on perfect, you're not going to be able to hit the shots you need to hit and get the spin you need to spin to have control over there. And it makes a lot of sense that you see, the driving irons, because you're going to want the ball to stay low, stay out of whatever wind is there, let it run like crazy down the fairway, so you're still going to hit some massive shots with those. And then, you go to low bounce wedges, and, it's the only way to kind of, get consistent contact on the wedge face with, without the leading edge coming up too high. And like you said, blading it or hitting it low in the face and, rocking it over the green or coming up with, less spin or whatever. So, the changes there, I think, are always pretty common with what we see there. We all kind of expect it, and it's kind of what we saw, this year. Weren't too many 7-woods.
My favorite low bounce wedge switch up story is Webb Simpson. I was talking to Aaron Dill. Obviously, he had quite a busy week. He was building up new wedges for literally everyone. He said he got rid of 25 to 30 T grinds by Monday. So he was just building his butt off this week. But Webb Simpson, this is it's a fitting story because there were a lot of people losing baggage and luggage on the way over. Webb Simpson initially lost his golf clubs. So, for how much complaining
which a lot of people did,
I
too.
did about my lost bag, he lost his golf clubs and he's playing in the event. So, I can't really be saying too much. But he gives Aaron Dill a call. I lost my clubs. We need a replacement set. And Dill was like, I think we might want to look at switching up your wedges because Webb Simpson's a super high bounce guy. And Webb was like, what'd you have in mind? And Dill was like, do you trust me? And he was like, yeah, I trust you. So he hasn't built up like whatever Dill wants. So Webb gets to the event on, I think this was Monday now. He gets to the event, and his clubs finally show up. So he's going throughout his practice routine, like he has the wedges, and Dill on like Wednesday looks in the bag to see if he went with the high bounce wedges that he's been comfortable with and has played for 2 years, or whether he threw in the new super low bounce wedges, and he threw in the low bounce ones. Would he have switched wedges though if he didn't lose his golf bags going into the event? That is the question. My guess would be no, that it would have taken a lot more convincing for him to change out wedges he's been playing for years. But shout out to Dill. He made the magic happen, as he always does. I think Webb ended up missing the cut by 1 stroke, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he did, unfortunately, which is a bummer. But I think, it just goes to show you, like, when people always say, like, oh, my God, like, an Aaron Dill type guy out on tour, that would be such an amazing job, be the best job in the world. I think you're right. I think that job is very cool and all that. But just having some skill to either build clubs or fit clubs is just part of it. Like, you have to be out there for years to gain that kind of trust where a guy like a Webb Simpson, who is, playing this game for a living, and granted, he makes a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but he's playing it for a living. And if he doesn't make cuts, he's not putting, he's not making money. to have a guy say, "Hey, man, like, listen, like, I know your clubs aren't here. Just don't even ask. I'm going to build you up, 3, 4, whatever wedges, and just trust me." And then you just go, "Yeah, okay." Like, no guy can walk out on tour, no matter how good they are in terms of, like I said, building, grinding, fitting, and no pro is just going to say, "Yeah, I trust you. Go do it." Like, that takes decade of working with players and proving that you know what you're doing, and you're not going to steer them wrong. And it's just one of the things again that shows you that those guys on tour, the reps on tour, are so important, and what they do there, and how long they've been there, and it's kind of crazy to think of that. That's pretty cool.
And he got it right. Like, Webb didn't have to go back to him and be like, "No, well, we need like a slight adjustment here, a slight adjustment there." Like, sight unseen, Dill he put these wedges together that were exactly right, and Webb put them right in play. So pretty impressive stuff there from Dill. Aside from driving irons and wedges, which were like strategic switches for the course, we also had a lot of extracurricular type gear stories popping off at St. Andrews. Where would you like to start? There were a couple of club releases, like actual clubs that we saw for the first time out there in hand. And there were also just a bunch of different, like, custom gear, like, accessory type releases.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start it off. We'll start with the club, then we'll go to accessories, and we'll alternate. How about that?
Yep.
Ping I-230. We've been waiting to see this one. And I know Ping Iron fans, I know that it's kind of a cult. You guys love your Ping Irons. Now, we first spotted Ping I-230s. I think it was Terrell Hatton. Some photos just popped up in the forums. But, like, super far away, super grainy photos. You really couldn't tell too much at all. And that was the beginning of July. I think those started popping up. And we've all kind of been waiting to see them in hand. Greg's beautiful photos up close in person, holding them from a dress. What's different? What's the same? We finally answered those questions. Stuart Sink had them out at the Open Championship. I'm sure that you saw the photos.
Yep.
These are obviously probably going to be I-210 replacements. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I mean, I think they look really good. I think the I-Series from Ping is super underrated. I mean, the I-210s, as they were starting to get to the end of their life, finally seemed, at least with the Golf WRX forums, started to get like the love that they probably should have had when they first came out, because they are such a good iron for a player who's got some skill but still needs some help. A player who maybe was a really competitive, great player, back in their 20s, and now they've got a job and a family and all that, and they can't get out and practice as much, but they still want the look of a player's iron with some forgiveness because they're just not hitting it on the center anymore. Or guys like me who want to look like a player, but they're definitely not and need the help and never
You just
will
call
get.
yourself a wannabe?
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I mean, the look of it is really good. The one thing that kind of, for me with Ping, always kind of rubs me slightly wrong, which doesn't mean I wouldn't want to try these anyway, is the difference in look between the longer irons and the shorter irons. The longer irons, like the 6-iron from Greg's photos, very sharp-toed, a little more squared off, a little more edgy, and a lot of people like that look, and that's totally fine. And then you get to like the 9-iron, and from a dress, it's much more rounded, a little bit bigger looking. I mean, it's almost like if you set those 2 irons down and didn't tell somebody, they'd think they're 2 different sets. And I wish those blended a little better, just personally. But other than that, I think they look great. They got really minimal offset. The back is super clean in terms of the look that Ping did there. I'm surprised there's not bigger Ping badging on it, to be 100% honest with you. But I think they kept it super clean. And then it's also going to be interesting. There's a big screw in the toe, and does that mean that's a big like tungsten weight? Or is there a little opening for some type of hollow body construction? Like, that'll be the interesting thought on those.
I don't think they're hollow-bodied. You think Stuart Sink's playing hollow-bodied irons through the set?
I don't know. I mean, you look at guys like Harry Higgs plays P770s. I mean, I wouldn't say that it can't be done, but I want to say it's probably more of a weight piece. But you don't know. I was totally wrong with I-500s when they first came out. I remember we did a show on those back long ago. But these, I don't know. You're probably right. They're probably not hollow bodied, but like I said, it'd be interesting to find out when full tech gets announced.
Well, would you like to hear Stuart Sink's take on what he likes about the irons?
Yes, I would.
This isn't directly from Stuart, unfortunately, but it's from Ping Player Development Manager Spencer Rothluber. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but I did my best. He says, once Stewart saw that the I-230s were smaller heel to toe in the long irons, he was instantly excited to play them. He loved the feel and sound. The I-230s have a very solid impact experience. He also found the transition to the new iron, which... Is he talking about the U-wedge or the new iron in general? Either way. He also found that the transition to the new iron very easy, as the sole design of the I-230 compared to the I-210 didn't change. Oh, okay. So the transition was easy because the sole designs were the same.
Okay.
So he liked the blade length on the long irons, and I think that was something you had touched on a little bit.
Yeah, I mean the blade length is. I mean, with the 210s were, now the 230s look to be a little longer heel to toe, and I think you and I have kind of seen this trend of certain players kind of going that route, whether it adds a little forgiveness or just changes the kind of the CG through the swing. A lot of players on tours seem to either really like a little longer blade length or they like something shorter. Like there's really no true in between. It doesn't look like, but we're seeing a trend of more of these irons go that way for better players. And yeah, it's definitely something. These will be a little larger. I mean, especially if you set them down to like a set of blueprints or something like that. Definitely going to be a little larger. There's also an interesting little. It'll be interesting to see how much of the rear badging is badging and how much is actual like metal, because there's like a kind of a little kind of cavity looking when you see it in certain lights. I don't know if that's something that's the actual face where they're supporting the face or strengthening it to reduce hot spots or something like that. But yeah, I mean the sole design, it looks kind of medium width. I wouldn't say it looks crazy narrow, but again, it's hard to tell 100% from photos. But overall, a good looking set of irons. I definitely want to take a few swings and see how that solid impact feels.
I'm curious to see if a bunch of the I-210 users out on tour, which there are a couple of them.
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick has a long iron in the bag. Victor Hovland plays them throughout the set. Whether they end up making the switch as well, because I-210s at this point, they're 4 years old. I think they came out in 2018.
Yeah.
So, and just the general consumer, I'm sure there's a lot of I-210 users still out there. It's kind of like one of those cult classic type sets. We'll see what their feedback is about the new I-230s.
And I think if you're a consumer too, like the 210s, I think a lot of people kind of waiting to hear what's going to happen next. So if you're somebody who really loved the I-210 and you were looking to maybe replace a set or whatever, you had a set for 4 years, or starting to get to the point where, hey, maybe I want to upgrade to something new. You were probably waiting to see, like, is this new replacement iron going to be coming out shortly, or should I snag another set of I-210s? But I think this segment too is still, a growing segment of a player's iron with forgiveness. And I think, now jumping off the 210s, I think the 230s are going to have a much bigger fan base right out of the gate than the 210s did.
All right, so let's move off of 230s. I think we spent enough time there. I want to get into this topic because I'm curious what you have to say about it. Staff bags. Every major companies do custom staff bags. They try to incorporate something with the local flair or the tournament itself or the anniversary or something. They do something special for the majors.
Yep.
What did you think of this year? Because obviously there's a lot at hand to use as like creative material, creative inspiration. It's the 150th home golf, St. Andrews. You can't really ask for too much more inspiration there. We had Cleveland Trixon had a custom bag. Titleist also had a custom bag that the staff players did not actually use. Then we had Callaway with a custom bag and TaylorMade. I don't think I'm missing anything. So out of those four, what would you say is your favorite, and like what's the winner? Who won here?
Man, it's a really hard mix. I'm going to go with, if I was to, and I'm going to look at it as if I was to basically told, hey, you have to take one of these bags and you have to go play it. Like, this is your bag all year. Which would you go with? I honestly, I think it's the Strixon. It's super low key, but it is Scottish. It's got that little bit of tartan on it. It's got like the blue and the yellow. I mean, it's just really understated. But when you look at it, you know it's a U.S. or an Open Championship bag. So I really love what they did. I love that they kept it really simple but super classy. And it's one of those bags you could use it all year, and people who aren't huge into golf may not even notice that it's an Open Championship bag, but the people who do know exactly what it is. And then I give, I don't, for whatever reason, like I don't remember, I must have missed the title of this bag for whatever reason. And I don't
It's
know
just
why.
something
I mean,
that they're selling like retail wise. It has like the 150 official Open logo on there, and then it just says Open Championship. It's like navy and yellow. The staffers did not carry it. So I'm not shocked you might not exactly know what we're talking about, but it's up in the forums. We got photos and like videos of it and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the forum, all the forum photos, and I just didn't see one there. But anyway, I'm gonna go, so without that one, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go TaylorMade number 2, just because like that brown, the tweed, and it really what does it for me for TaylorMade. The head covers were absolutely money. Like the driver cover was like the jacket, like the suit coat with a little vest. The 3-wood cover was like the stopwatch or the pocket watch and like a little pocket, and then you had a tweed hybrid, cover, and that stuff was just super super cool. And so I'd give that, and then I guess I'll give at the moment I'll give third place to Callaway, since I haven't, like I said, didn't see the title of this bag.
Okay, so I've gotten into this pretty much exact conversation with a few different people.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them had been placing Callaway last on the list, and I was just shocked by it. Like, is it the general aesthetic of the Callaway bag that people aren't liking, or is it like that they didn't hear the backstory of it?
Definitely did not hear the backstory.
Okay.
And looking at it, like there's some graphics that look like they were potentially drawn by someone else, but I think it's just, for me, the bag doesn't, the bag, the side that everybody, it just doesn't jump out and scream Open Championship to me. I mean, I know it says it on the bag, but like the colorways just don't really scream Open Championship. There's a lot of pastels and all that in the buildings that are drawn on there, and that part to me just doesn't scream Open Championship in a way to me.
Okay.
But now I'd love to hear the story about it, though, because it sounds pretty cool.
I may get some of like the actual names and stuff like that wrong, so definitely head over to golf2barracks.com. We have like the whole full story, or even if you just go up on Instagram, that might actually be easier. But basically, Callaway partnered with St. Andrews on these bags, and they ran a contest for 2 of the local like art schools in the area, youth art schools, where everyone kind of submitted their staff bag design. Then there were 10 finalists. 9 of the finalists, what they won is Callaway created huge sculptures of the staff bags that they created, like, and their full designs, and they turned them into sculptures, and they put them in different areas around St. Andrews. So say you're by like the cemetery where old Tom Morris is, maybe there's going to be a Callaway sculpture there. If you're down by the college, like in their little courtyard, maybe there's a Callaway sculpture there. And Greg, shout out to Greg Moore, photographer, he went to like, I think 7 of them, and he took photos of their designs, really cool. And then Iona Turner, 17 years old, she was elected as the winner of the staff bag design contest, and her design actually got turned into the Callaway staff bag design. So she designed the staff bag, the head covers that go with it, and eventually they went on sale in like the local St. Andrews shops, so you can actually purchase and support. I believe that the money is going to, the local art college institutions to kind of help out with that. So Callaway, St. Andrews are kind of splitting that endeavor. And Iona Turner won, 17 years old, local St. Andrews art student. And so the bags that you see were not designed by Callaway. They were designed locally by St. Andrews student Iona Turner. I thought it was just like the coolest story. I think I might be blinded by the fact that I heard the backstory before seeing like the actual bags. And everyone saw the bags first, and I think they were like, you know, a little bit childish of a design, I guess, or they didn't quite get it, and they're kind of just writing off the Callaway bags this year, whereas I heard the story first, so I was kind of a sucker to it going in. But to me, I just think it's like the coolest story ever, really. I think it's awesome that they did that. I think it's awesome that 9 of the finalists got like a sculpture in the city. I'm sure they all went and like took photos with it, and had the family show up and stuff like that. So I don't know. I guess I'm a sucker for that type of stuff. But so I had Callaway placed like head and shoulders above everyone else. So I was like, I want one of those bags. And they do put them on sale. It was just, you know, I had already lost all my checked bags already. So I was like, maybe I'll just pick one up when I'm in the States.
And I think that is an awesome thing to do, too. I think it's really cool. And when you scroll through, you do see some of the other bags, like I said, the sculptures that Greg got photos of.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not even the artwork. Like, I think that's really cool. I think, you know, she did a great job now hearing the story and knowing that, you know, the 17-year-old did it. It's not so much like, I don't even mind the more hand-drawn graphics. To me, it's just a color thing. Maybe if they just wouldn't have went with white, you know, if they would have made that bag blue with then her graphics on it, I think maybe it would have made it pop a little more. Because like I said, to me, it just doesn't scream enough of the, you know, the Open Championship. And like I said, maybe they just change the color of the bag a little bit, you know, and make it all blue with her graphics on the pockets and stuff. Maybe that makes it pop out a little more and makes it kind of feel more Open Championship. Because like I said, it was nothing to do with the graphics. I think that's now even cooler with the story now.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, we can move along from the staff bag competition. I always kind of see it as a competition in my mind. I know it's not actually a competition, but I can't help it, you know. So we also had Mizuno. Mizuno dropped some new irons. Have you seen these? They're all blue. And I think they're limited edition. They're actually going out. Like, you're actually going to be able to buy them. They're limited edition, 221s. And these things, talk about bag appeal. I don't think any pros like have actually considered throwing these in the bag, at least out at the Open Championship. Like, I didn't see anyone like actually throw those in the bag, but they were launched at the Open Championship. Like, they had them on the tour truck. We took some in-hand photos, and I heard that they're actually going to be released. I think that embargo has been lifted, and all the people know about it. What do you think about these guys?
I think they look awesome. They look really cool. And then to match them up with kind of the blue and black, you know, the two-tone blue ferrules and all that, is really, really. I mean, they look stunning. And I gotta believe, like, just looking at the photos, I remember when the blue wedges came out and seeing them in hand, they were so much nicer than even the photos could do justice of. And I know Greg got like, or yourself, one of the two, got like as many angles as you could. But I know when you see things these things in the actual sunlight, they're going to super, super pop. But I don't think they're going to be crazy enough where they'll be distracting if you are going to play them. I don't think it's going to be crazy distracting to play those irons. But I think they look really, really good. I think they're really cool. It'll be interesting to see, though, because some people will buy these. I think most people will probably buy them and kind of wall hang them. It'll be interesting how they wear. You know, like, because the blue's coming off, at least on the sole, and, you know, a little bit on the front, lower side of the front face where it'll make contact with the ground, and anything with the ball. Well, the ball part is gray, so that should be all right. But you'll get a little wear on the sole, but I think they're great looking irons.
But the face is not actually blue. And how would you describe the finish of that face? It's not, like, raw, is it?
I doubt it's raw, but it's kind of like a dark gray matte finish. So it's, you know, it's probably some type of plating with some sand blasting or some type of media blasting to it. So that part, I mean, that's going to wear like a normal iron will probably wear. But yeah, that blue is pretty darn. It's pretty darn stunning. Like, in super bright light, it looks kind of lightish blue, but in like a little dimmer light, it looks dark blue. Like it kind of changes as you see it in different lights, and they look pretty stunning. They did a nice job with that.
I agree. So with that, let's go over to accessories again.
Okay.
Flip back and forth a little bit. Let's go back into the FootJoy Titleist world, and these FootJoy shoes. Whew.
Yeah.
Have you seen what I'm talking about? They partnered with Harris Tweed.
Yep.
And they have this tartan texture that just goes right through the upper. And my God.
They are really sweet. Yeah, they did because again, it's kind of like a little bit like what Strixon did with the staff bag. Like it's just subtle enough where if you look, you see it, and you're like, wow. And if you don't really pay attention, you don't really notice. You're kind of like, oh, it's kind of a white shoe with some blue. Like you don't necessarily notice, but when you see them, you're like, oh wow, like that's. I actually sent a. Did I send a text or maybe it was IG? Like I sent my brother a DM. It was like, dude, you got to like, what do you think of these? And he was like, oh man, those are sweet. So yeah. I definitely did notice them.
Those like immediately go into the wish list, and just like that white silhouette, having the classic FootJoy white shoe as your base, like
yeah,
I already love that. And then just like that subtle pop of the tweed, I think they did a really, really nice job. We got kind of an advanced look at those on, I think it was Friday. Me and Greg headed down to the town of St. Andrews when the course was just like completely open to the public. Like you could go out and walk your dog on the road hole. Yeah, like you could do whatever you wanted. And the course was kind of shut down. Phil and Adam Scott, they were playing practice round out there. And me and him were kind of just popping around to a bunch of the different shops, and they already had them out on the shelves before they were even like announced to the public. As part of their display, they just had like a sheet of the tweed and the shoe like sitting on top of it, you know, from what the texture was actually cut from that went into the shoe. I just thought the whole thing was really cool. I think they did a great job. I'm not sure who actually wore them in the event. I think they were expecting JT to wear them. I didn't notice that he did. But I also didn't watch for 24 hours a day, every single day. But I was taking note to see if I saw JT wear them, and I didn't see him. But it's not to say that no one else in the event wore them. And so on the Titleist side, they had some new Pro V1 golf balls. And I think for the first time, they're putting out triple-digit golf ball numbers. So they had 150 on the numbers, whereas usually it's like 0 through 99. Obviously 150th Open Championship. They had the 150 below the Titleist as the number, and then on the side they had the official Open Championship logo in a custom limited edition 150 box with the official Open Championship 150 on there. So those were getting the people going, and I'm pretty sure they were flying off the shelves because we just went in to do a little filming at one of the local St. Andrews stores, and I was like just trying to film the golf balls on the shelves, and people were like, you know, what are you doing taking all that time over there? Like, let us get the golf balls. It just seemed like people were buying them literally by the dozen. So I thought those were really cool. But what are like the implications there? Will triple digits be available going forward? Like, are the floodgates open? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think it was done just for the Open Championship, and maybe it's, you know, set up to do something later on with other, you know, majors or big time events where, you know, it's the 100th or whatever of those events. But I don't know. I mean, there's probably some demand for a triple digit number on a Pro V, but I don't know. I mean, they already offer 1 through 99, and they offer, you know, customization where you can put initials and monograms or whatever on it anyway. I don't know if you necessarily need to add the 100, you know, a triple-digit number. I mean, does somebody? There are probably a few people who are sitting there who have a significance of, you know, number 285 or whatever it is. There probably is some people out there who would love to have that because there's just some significance in their life of those numbers. I just don't know if it's necessarily a huge thing. I mean, like I said, you can get 1 through 99, and if you're just looking to be different or want to put the old football number on your ball to be different, you have that ability. So I don't know if triple digits necessarily. I don't. If I had to like guess, I'd say no. It won't come to retail. It'll just be something special for these type of events.
I think just as like a society, I don't think we're mature enough to handle triple digits because everyone would just want to do 666.
Yeah, probably.
So maybe 0 through 99 is best.
Yeah.
And just on the club side, like a point of note, I think it was the Scottish really when the Stealth UDI came out, but obviously a pretty hot start for the Stealth UDI. Rory throws it in first week, 2-iron, 18 degrees, throws it in the bag, damn near wins the event. So just thought I'd give a little tip of the cap to the start of the Stealth UDI. Really thought Rory was going to win that event. I know we already talked about it, but I just can't believe that he didn't win. Like, I thought for sure he had that thing in the bag. And he played well, too. It's not even like he made some crazy mistakes. He just didn't make the putts. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah. Well, no, you're good. And honestly, the Stealth UDI, I think the reason, like, because there were a ton of them in play. I mean, I think we saw a lot of pros, either testing them at minimum. But I think the reason being is that they didn't make some crazy huge jump from sim to stealth in the UDI. I think they kept it as more of an evolution of that line, and the changes were upgraded faces, the new air foam that they had in the speed air foam. They did some revisions of updating it with some speed foam air. So they're doing some stuff with the latest tech, but they're not going like crazy wild with a complete redesign, all that. Like when you set it down, it still does kind of look like the sim. So guys were kind of familiar. It was just, hey, here's the latest iteration with the updated tech, and I think that helped a lot of guys move into it pretty quick. Yeah,
I think like they're not reinventing the wheel. Just clean up the offset a little bit. Give us a little bit less offset. Clean up the top line a little bit. If you want to help out performance, that's great. If you want to lower the ball flight, that's awesome. And I think that's kind of how they approached it, and their execution was perfect. They made it look like it fits within that stealth line. I have not hit the DHY. I have it sitting in my living room right now. I have the UDI and the DHY. So maybe I'll do like a little test for the TikTok or the Gram or YouTube or something like that. I'll report back here on the podcast about it, my experience with it. That's all I have from my list. We did talk to David Carey. So at the time we talked to him, he was T18 in the event. I believe he finished somewhere around T34. He's out of Dublin, Ireland. And the reason that he caught our attention was because we got word from Titleist that he's using two different drivers, one Open Championship. He was using a TSR 9 degree, and a TSR 3 9 degree, and then a TSI 3 10 degree. Not a lot of difference in degrees there, but I'm assuming that he does a little some with the hosel. One's obviously like a draw club that spins a little bit more. One's a fade club that spins down, that he hits when he wants to attack. But we talked to David Carey a little bit heading into the weekend. He will be joining our show this week. Oh, yeah. Not this episode, but later this week. I think we'll probably be back to a normal release schedule.
We'll try our best.
I'm not sure. I'm kind of a wild card right now. But I think we're going to be back to regularly scheduled programming. David Carey will be joining the show. I know he has a week off this week, so we're just going to try to align our schedules, get him on the show. And when I was asking about his drivers, he gave me all the reasons he was playing them. And then he was like, I think I have one of the most unique bag setups out there. So we need to get the whole rundown on his bag setup because those are big words. Obviously, we see a lot of different equipment from a lot of guys that do some crazy stuff. Bryson DeChambeau probably holds the crown right now as the wildest setup. He plays single length clubs, so
true.
That's tough to beat. But I did see a little something on. He plays Ping I210 irons. He does have some lead tape slapped on back there, so he's off to a nice start. 2 drivers, some lead tape. But we'll let him go through the bag, and then we'll put it to like vote on Instagram or something like that. Like, did he stay true to his word? Does he have the wildest bag set up out there? We're gonna find out. So that's David Carey from Dublin, Ireland. I don't know how thick his accent is. I'm hoping that we'll be able to understand him the whole time. But that's what I have for gear news from the Open Championship. I miss anything, Nuds? Anything else stick out to you?
I mean, the only thing that I was kind of not shocked you didn't mention, but first major availability, first major win for TSR. Cam Smith, TSR2. First major with those available, and look what that's what's on the podium. So pretty interesting there that he won with the brand new driver, and I mean, it's probably not new to him. He's probably had it for a few weeks, but Titleist chalk up a major win with TSR. So that's pretty nice if you're working on the Titleist marketing team.
That's true. And the 3 winners so far this year. 4 winners. Who have we had? It was Fitzpatrick,
Scheffler,
Cam Smith, Scheffler, and who else won? Why am I blanking?
Who won? Scheffler Masters. It was the PGA. Wow, this is really bad. No, I can't. Was JT no? Who won the PGA?
Yeah. JT won the PGA.
Yeah, JT. Yeah.
Are those all under 30? We have all young guns win this year. Has the torch officially been passed?
Yeah, Scheffler's only like.
That's the point, really. I was trying to get to
young.
Right there.
Yeah, I think so because Scheffler's only like in his late 20s or something like that. Cam Smith's young. Fitzpatrick's super young. So yeah, I think so. I think JT might be the oldest guy out of the group.
Yeah, JT might be the oldest.
He might be the old man.
Like the veteran of the group. So I do feel like that puts an interesting cap on the majors for this year. Young guns are taking over. Tiger had a rough go out there. He's not looking great physically.
Man,
the Phil Mickelson, that ship has sailed.
Yeah,
all the fans are pretty much over
right
the
now.
antics. So the Tiger Phil kind of wave, sadly nearing the end. Rory, he played his heart out at the Open Championship. I think we all expected him to win. He did not. So maybe even that mid-tier wave, maybe that's on the way out, and the young guns are all just taking over. So prepare yourselves for it. It's here.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, we all knew there'd be a changing of the guard at some point. I mean, if you've been a fan of sports for any little bit of length of time, everybody retires eventually, unless you're Tom Brady. Everybody retires eventually. But yeah, Tiger, it was the whole time he's saying, "This isn't my last one. This is my last one. This is my last one," and then kind of it may be my last one at St. Andrews, but I'm going to try not to. But then, I mean, just watching him walk, I mean. His body is just not healed up yet. It's not 100%. I mean, it never will be the old Tiger, but he looked like he was in pain just walking, tee to green the whole time. And then, to walk over the bridge and then up 18, with the tears in his eyes, it's tough to think that he knows this is probably the last major he will competitively play at St. Andrews with that had a shot to go out there and play and win, because I think the next one's in 5 or 6 years. He's going to be in his 50s.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knows, like most people do at 50 or 50 plus, you're probably just not going to be in the running to hang with some of these young guys, and even the great Tiger Woods. And it kind of it brought a little tear, kind of a mist to my eyes as well, watching him. It was cool. It was cool that Homa and Fitzpatrick kind of stayed back and let him walk over the bridge by himself.
Very classy.
And then him to walk up, and you could see, emotionally it hit him really hard. I mean, it's, we all knew the day would come eventually. It's just, it's weird to see that it is possible. We possibly witnessed it, this year, which is kind of crazy to think. But, I mean, I hope this isn't the last one, but I mean, I totally get it if it is. So, it was interesting. But yeah, the Phil ship it's pretty much sailed. I mean, I don't know if he gets it back. I mean, he's 50 now. I mean, he's just, I don't know. there's a lot of weird things in that realm of player that we may have seen the end of.
Yeah, you just gotta love how much of historian that Tiger is, how much of the history of the old course revolves around Tiger Woods, and he really he knew how big of a moment it was, him going over the Swilken Bridge, even though maybe not, it's his last time, but Rory tipping his cap, him taking off his cap and kind of tearing up, he just gets it. He gets his role within the golf world, and he gets how much he really means to the people around there at the old course, and just kind of not being able to give it a real competitive go. It's like that damn car accident. He's showing up, he's in good spirits, he wants to get the game right, but at the end of the day, he just can't walk around that place like he used to, and that's a pretty flat course compared to all the other major venues. Courses are getting longer and longer, more difficult, higher rough, and it's just going to be tough for Tiger to keep up with how he is physically. I think mentally and skill-wise, he's still there. It's just, will he be able to repair that leg and walk around going forward? I don't think even he knows right now.
Yeah.
But you got to tip your cap to him trying, because he left his heart out on the dance floor, and he was out there since, Friday afternoon? He was out there just putters and wedges, and he was trying. He was trying to gear up, and, I think he shot 78, 73 or something to miss the cut. Which is unfortunate. Obviously would have loved to see him play the weekend, but I think he handled, missing the cut with as much grace and nostalgia and, respecting the game as you could possibly hope for. He obviously torched all those live guys, and he doesn't understand that entire thing. But it's refreshing, to hear him talk about, the history of the game and just what it means, what St. Andrews means. You just got to love Tiger. That's all there is to it. Yeah, I love Tiger. No. He will most likely be saying goodbye to St. Andrews. He'll probably be there for the next event, playing the celebrity stuff, the former champion stuff. I just can't see, 6-7 years down the line. But again, anytime anyone writes off Tiger for doing something crazy, they end up being proven wrong. So I'll probably be added to the list next time St. Andrews comes around. But congratulations to Cam Smith. I think it was a long time coming. He's been playing great this year. Got the players done. Putted his absolute butt off out there at St. Andrews, and he deserved it. He beat a Cam Young and a Rory that were fighting, and they were playing well at the top of their game too. So, Cam Smith, congratulations, kid.
Boy, Players Championship and a Open Championship in the same year. That boy's having a good year. And,
how's that for a lineup?
He said he's a young guy, and he's a young guy. So, I mean, to think, I mean, these guys are going to be around a long time playing some golf, and it's going to be exciting to see. I mean, we all know there won't be a Tiger in the future at some point, but if you're a fan of golf and you're a fan of watching some good golf and whatever, I mean, there's going to be some excitement. There's going to be some guys to root for out there, even when he hangs it up for the final time. So it's pretty exciting. But he's playing good, man. Him and Scheffler right now. I mean, two young guys who just had hell of years. Him and Scheffler. Oof, boy, that's two boys who've liked 2022 so far.
FedEx Cup playoffs, they're coming up. I'm not traveling this week. I'm letting Greg handle that. He's a madman. I'm going to keep catching up on sleep. But it was a pleasure talking some Open Championship golf with you, Knudsen. We'll see you guys probably in 4 or 5 days. Before you go. I think we're back to scheduled programming. Yes.
Before you go, I got to ask one question because I know we brought it up before you left for your trip.
Okay.
Did you try any authentic Scottish cuisine?
Are you talking about haggis?
Or anything. I don't know what else is over there. I've never been there, but I know they probably have some specialties that are, Scottish things. That did you try any of those things?
I ate nothing that was made of blood. I ate nothing that was gray in color. I just tried to eat edible food. Pretty much nothing's made with salt, sugar, fat. So I was just trying to get by. No offense to any Scottish listeners. I live in America. Okay, I'm used to preservatives and things that aren't good for you that taste really good. So I will say on the food front, I've been happy to be back.
Yeah,
Actually,
happy to.
yeah. I think Greg reported that he lost about 6.5 pounds. I was probably somewhere in that realm myself. It's just, it was a lot of walking around and not a lot of eating. So I've been getting back to the food, which feels nice.
So, all right. Well, I just had to ask. I know we talked about it before you left, before the Scottish. I wanted to know what you would actually be eating over there. So I just wanted to see if maybe
it wasn't a lot.
You found a newfound love for something like a haggis or some other, delicious treat over there in Scotland.
No. Unless you like bland hamburgers, which is pretty much what we ate for every meal, or overcooked steak, then no, I wasn't really enjoying my Scottish food experience. I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh, that's great. So, all right. Well, then, maybe, what is it? You're not traveling this week, so you're not at 3M. Are you coming to old Detroit for the Rocket?
Yep, I'll see you up in Detroit in a week and a half, 2 weeks. Maybe we'll get some golf in, but yeah, we'll do a live show. Me and you together, same camera.
I know,
possibly
same camera. Yeah, we'll have to figure out. Go
back to the old studio.
We got to do a little cleanup down there. It's a little messy, but we'll see what we can pull off.
All right. Well, that was Two Guys Talking Golf, the Open Championship Edition. We'll see you next week.
Still go, go, go.